guys, it's Kate from the Quilter's Bolt, and I'm here today to show you a really effective and easy way to match a pattern if you have a really nice printed backing for a quilt. So what I've started with is my quilt I need 7 meters of fabric for, which will be 3.5 meters pieced twice to make the full backing. So I have cut this into two. I folded it in half and cut it into two separate pieces. The next step is to remove your selvages, which I will do. And I find it just easier to remove them from both pieces of your fabric, and then it doesn't matter which one you end up working with. This is not a way to cut for great precision, so you don't want to cut a big piece like this if you need something really precise. But for the sake of what I'm doing, I can fold it and it's going to work really well. Okay, once you've removed your selvages from both pieces of your backing, you're going to pick one of the two pieces and you're just going to bring it over and press it. You're going to press about 1/2 inch all the way down one of the sides where the selvage was connected. So down your length of fabric. Okay, so now I have, this is the piece that I didn't press press over the 1/2 inch, and this is the piece I did. So I've laid out the unpressed piece first, and then I've taken my pressed piece and I have matched it. So if you go along here, you'll see that it is pretty well matched all the way down. You want to find, look how nicely that lines up. So once you're happy with how it's lined up, what you're going to do is you're going to use your preferred glue product. I have tried a few different ones. I've tried a few glue sticks, a Clover one and a Roxanne's glue stick. And I actually like the basting glue product that they make the best. It holds fairly well right when it's applied, but once you give it a press after it's applied, it holds it really nicely. So you don't need any pins, and you know your pattern's going to match because we're looking at it as we're gluing it versus if we flipped it over and then hope for the best and pinned it. So you're just gonna run, I also really like the applicator of this, a little bit of glue all the way along, and I usually run a bit of glue and then match it back up. And then run a bit more. And you're going to do this all the way along this soon-to-be seam. Okay, so once you've got your seam glued nice and flat and you're happy with how everything is lining up, I like to not move the fabric from its place because you may shift it. It does hold better after it's pressed. So I just bring my handy dandy little wool pressing mat over and slide it underneath. Just don't want to trip you. And then give it a press this way. And once that is pressed, you do have quite a secure hold. I mean, you're gonna want to sew this before you pack it up in a bag and move it to the long armors or whatever else, but it will give you a good hold to move it to your machine and keep everything in place while you put that seam down. Ready. Okay, so once you have everything glued and then pressed into place, you're gonna bring your backing over to the machine and you're just gonna sew, I don't know if you can see it on this dark fabric, but down here is the line where I pressed it. So you're going to use that as your sewing guide. So you're just going to sew right in that seam. You're going to want to backstitch at the beginning and the end. Okay, so now that I have my seam sewn and really well secured and I backstitched at both ends, I'm just gonna trim my seam allowance and then I'm gonna press my seams open and then it is ready to use. And we'll open it and take a look at it now that it's sewn. We'll have a peek and just see how my seams made out. Okay, so we're all pressed and finished. And as you can see, or not see that well, here is our seam, and it worked out great. And this is a pretty busy pattern, so you can certainly do this on a simpler pattern that you'd like to have matched as well.